In 1986, a family was terrified to find out that a boy had been living in their house for 2 months without their knowledge. It left the community horrified and frightened, but the story does not end there. This person will go on to murder a young family.
The kid.
This is the nightmarish story of Daniel LaPlante, the boy in the walls.
There's no way this can be true.
This is absolutely true.
Oh my God, that's a good tease by you.
Thank you for saying that.
You know what? I'm going to stick around.
Oh, thank you so much. It'd be weird if you left.
Yeah, I'm not interested in this one. Thanks so
Not
much.
for me. Great. How are you? All right.
Hell yeah.
Hey there, everybody. Welcome to Not Another Crime Podcast.
I'm Georgia Love.
I'm Sammy Peterson.
I'm a journalist.
I am not.
And there is a reason that you did the intro this time, because I was listening to our last episode and I did the intro and I really didn't do it well.
You know what? I don't think that we've done it well sometimes, but I think we always commit to it, and I think that's what's wonderful about it. We do it with great gusto every single
all that
time,
matters
even
in
if it's
life
wrong.
is that you think you've done something
Yeah,
well.
I think so.
Whether
Yeah, a little
you
pat on the
have or
back.
not.
We always give each other a
Fake it
pat on the
till you
back.
make it, baby.
That's right.
Do you get like imposter syndrome?
Yeah, all the time. Not when I'm doing an intro though. That's the least of my worries.
That's good. Very confident. You're very good.
Very good. Now, as always, if you want to skip ahead to just the story, you can look at the timing in the show notes and you can skip ahead. Now, G-Love, I'm going to say right now, maybe people want to watch us instead. Do you reckon that's possible? I don't even know how they would do that. They'd be here right now, wouldn't they just?
Wouldn't they? And we don't actually have a live audience, despite all the applause you can usually hear in the background. That's actually just Diggs.
It's just Diggs.
Can they watch this entire episode,
They
Sammy?
actually can, because we've recently started a goddamn YouTube channel. So right now, Georgia Love, the Democracy Manifest episode with Oliver Clark and the Granny Killer episode is up there. If you'd rather watch us, or maybe probably both for our algorithm.
Los dos.
Oh, great stuff from you, G.
Thank you. That's the only Spanish I speak,
But
but
it's
I
really
know
good.
it from the old El Paso ad.
That is correct. That is correct. But you can watch us if you'd rather do that. Maybe have both on at the same time. That'd be a fun little game for people if they played the podcast and played on youtube.com at the same time.
And you know, it would be really amazing if there's ads at the start of the episode.
Oh, that's even
Spoiler
better.
alert,
We love ads.
Spoiler alert, there won't be because it's brand new on YouTube. But if there were ads, imagine if one of them was the ¿Por qué no los dos?
Oh, that
little
would be
girl taco ad.
incredible. And also, if you want to stick around and watch the whole ad, that might help us. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I actually don't know how that
You know
works.
that
We're making a lot of money out of YouTube. Let's just say that.
Yeah, so much. I heard the stat once, and I won't try to guess the number because I don't remember it.
Is it what 60% of stats are made up? Something like that.
Not that one though. Not that one. There a number that is bigger than you would expect actually stick around to watch the whole ad, even when there's the skip ahead. Some of them you have to watch.
Yeah, right.
Because they know that. Because I said to someone once, I think who worked for YouTube, I was like, why did they do the skip ad?
Yeah.
Like that's so pointless. Everyone would just do it. And like, no, so many people don't.
Can I do a pet peeve right now?
Whoa.
We both pay for subscription services, streaming services, G.
Yes.
More and more you have to sit through ads.
Yes. But that's how they make their money.
I know, but they didn't used to. Like Netflix.com, you pay a subscription
But
service.
that's how they get you. Do you remember Uber Eats when it?
I know about it. I still know about it.
You
I don't
do?
remember. I know about it still.
Oh my God! Someone
the
just
other day.
reminded me about it the other day. When they first started, so obviously Uber, the rideshare service,
Yeah.
already existed, and then they introduced Uber Eats, and there was no charge at all.
Oh,
It was
really?
literally just you could order a milkshake from the local cafe and someone would drive it to you, and it only cost you the amount of
I
the
always
milkshake.
used to do that, just me and a milkshake.
Just you and a milkshake.
Can I tell you a wonderful story just really quickly? My good friend Dave
Can
Warnicky
I
and I.
finish my story, please?
My God, it's about a
Goodness,
milkshake.
you're rude.
Okay, sorry about that.
But what they did is they got everyone using that service, and everyone was like, "That's so good! I can't believe they do this. Is so good. They could just drive it to your door." Rah, rah, rah. And then they started charging a fee, and people were already used to using it. So they're like, "Oh yeah, of course I'll pay $2 for that." And now we are relying on it and pay heaps. That's how they get you.
That's
and
how
that's
they
what
get
the
you every
Netflix-
time.
But you know what, podcast listeners,
Yep.
this podcast is goddamn free for you.
Yeah, it is actually. Yeah.
And we're not going to make it not free.
Mm.
So thank us. I don't know where I,
don't
was
know where
going
you're going
with
with that.
that.
Listen to the
so
ads
you're
if you
welcome.
want. Yeah,
so
listen to the
you're
ads.
welcome.
Yeah.
Okay, yes, please. Your story about a milkshake.
Oh, Dave Warnicky. So Dave Warnicky and I were in Sydney this weekend and we did our show together. Dave Warnicky dates the entire audience. We had such a wonderful time. And in the show, it's a highly interactive show and you get to vote on what we do next in the show.
I love the
so
use
it's
of the adjective highly interactive.
highly interactive, more
that.
interactive than usual. And people vote on what we do next.
Yep.
One of the dates is an activity, right? It's just an activity and the audience always get to vote on what we do. It's like fly a kite, silent disco, have a picnic together or break a world record. Spoiler, break a world record usually wins because it's just an out there idea.
Yeah.
It usually wins, right? And the world record that we break is the most sips of milk while listening to Neil Diamond's Sweet Caroline. That's an actual, all those really weird Guinness Book of World Records
they would
things
just
that
make
exist.
up something that no one else has tried.
Most witch's
so they
hat
can...
on my head. And you're like, okay, I don't think anyone's trying that. So you won, I guess.
Now they will.
But yeah, that's right. But yeah, so Dave decided to, every time we do it is like, we always have to have the milk there just in case, right? So we always have the milk there. You have to have the kite there. You have to have everything there just in case they vote on it, right? So Dave and I go to Sydney on Saturday morning, early Saturday morning, and we go to a cafe first because our show is at the very comedy time of 2:30 p.m. So it's like, and it takes a long time to set up our show. So we're like, okay, well, let's get there early, set up the projector and everything, but we'll have coffee first. And Dave had a milkshake because Dave doesn't drink coffee.
See where this is going.
Oh my God. So Dave drinks the milkshake and I went, as soon as it finished, then it clicked for me. I went, Dave, what if you have to drink a whole pint of milk?
Oh.
And he goes, oh no. And then it got voted on.
Of course it did.
And so it got voted on for break a world record. And Dave's eyes just looked at me. And Dave, Dave, he's the most upbeat, funny, charismatic person. Dave's eyes look sad.
Oh no.
Like for the first time, it was like a puppy dog. It was just like, oh no.
He's also like, I wouldn't think, like he's not a huge, big built guy that would have heaps of like protein.
He looks like a young
all
Mr.
the
Burns.
time.
That's what I call him on stage. Yeah.
But I feel like he doesn't look like someone who would often drink a lot of milk and would be okay with that.
Yeah.
But
Calcium
also,
boy.
I want to just rewind. Please tell me how old Dave is again.
Dave is, I think, maybe a year older than me. I think he's 34.
Why did he order a milkshake?
Well, that's what's weird about Dave. Dave does stuff like that all the time. So it's like, he doesn't drink coffee. He doesn't drink tea. So he ordered a milkshake. It was like a rung below ordering a spider for me. I was like, or a Coke float. Yeah.
Remember spiders? Yeah, Coke float. I feel like
Yeah.
that. They call them floats in. Is that American?
No, Coke float is British.
British. What do they call them in America?
I don't know. Please write in.
Please write in.
Sammy at justanothercompany.com.au.
We know we have at least 2 American
We
listeners.
do, absolutely. Yeah, tell us what a spider is called there. It is, just so you know, if it's not called a spider or a Coke float, for
Maybe
some
it
reason
is
we
a
call it a
float
spider.
because I think they've got something called a root float.
Oh, do they?
No, that's something else. It's something
Nice.
something on the
Nice.
other streaming service online that's not you.
With more ads probably. Oh my God.
Probably.
But yeah, so it's basically just ice cream, and I'd say basically it is. It is ice cream and a fizzy drink of some sort, usually Coke. I was once on a tour with a comedian who will remain nameless, but one time I met up.
Oh no, we're filming that.
We can't do that anymore. There's no time for that anymore.
An interpretive dancer to me.
Lawrence Mooney.
Okay.
And I was on tour with him.
Still used the same.
Lawrence Mooney. I rhymed it.
Mooney.
Stop it. You're giving it away.
Go.
I did really well. Lawrence Mooney.
In The Simpsons, when the principal goes, can B. Simpson come to the principal's office? No, wait, that's too obvious. Can Bart S. Anyway, tell me about your friend Lawrence.
Lawrence Mooney. So Lawrence Mooney, who hosted the show Murdy Mondry Live. That's some good stuff from me. That's some really good stuff from me. But so Lawrence and I were on tour, and really early in the morning we met up for a coffee one morning.
That's cool, man.
And I was like, I'll have a strong latte, please, as is my wont. And Lawrence said to the person who took the order, the waiter, said, just a spider, thanks. And they said, we don't do spiders here. And he did not take his eyes off me the entire time. He goes,
who, the barista or Lawrence?
Lawrence, does not take his eyes off me the entire time. Lawrence looks at me in the eye. It's clear as day. Lawrence looks at me and he goes, talking to the waiter but looking directly at me, he goes, "Do you have Coke?" I go, "Yep." He goes, "Do you have ice cream?" I go, "Yep." "Just a spider, thanks."
What a weird thing to be.
"Just a spider, thanks."
Oh my God.
I think Lawrence said, as he's famous for, had a pretty big night. Let's just say that. I think
So he
Lawrence
wasn't
said
ordering a spider for lols. He genuinely wanted a spider in the morning.
Classic Lawrence. That is the Lawrence we
Lawrence.
know.
If
and
you
Muv.
guys, if you guys had any idea who we were talking
You would have
about,
no
you'd get-
idea.
but
if you understood it.
you'd
Yeah.
get it.
Like Mill Manderson.
Exactly. Or Mron Lewis.
That's really good as well.
Thank you. Hey, Sammy.
Yeah.
I have had numerous people come up to me IRL and say, "Oh my God, Sammy's car."
Oh my God. Well, let me tell you right now that my car has been found. And more importantly, your St. Kilda jumper jacket was in the car.
Yay! But more importantly than that, well, no, nothing's more important than my jacket. But it's not just been found. You got it back.
I got it back. So I had to get a few things repaired. I had to get new keys and everything because the locks were really damaged, but it was so exciting to get it back. And also it was so funny. So I went to go and pick it up and I got a lift with a tow truck driver that did not speak to me the entire time.
Right. That's not awkward.
It was real fun stuff.
Radio on or silence?
Not silence.
Great.
I tried to turn the radio on at one point and he just kind of stared at me and I just went back into my seat.
Someone else's radio on.
Yeah.
That's a boss move.
I thought it was really cool, actually.
Cool, man.
Yeah. And yeah, I had to go and check the car and everything, and you have to kind of talk through with the person what's kind of damaged and everything. And so I was talking through, and he did say that the St. Kilda jacket was there. That was one of the first things that he said.
I'm so offended that no one stole that.
Oh, yeah.
Also, I already bought myself a replacement.
Did you?
So guess what?
Now you got two.
Happy birthday, Sammy.
Oh, thank you so much.
You got a St. Kilda jacket.
Or would one listener like it? Write in to Sammy at Just Another Company and just say .com.au and just say, I want it.
Why don't you want it?
I do want it, but the listeners are so important to me.
Okay. All right. Listeners, if you want it. I know one of our listeners at the very least already has said jacket because we work together and we often wear it at work together. And also the same listener, let's call him Ben Morrance. I told him he was one of the people that said to me the other day, "Oh my God, Sammy's car." And I was like, no, guess what? There's an update. Showed him the photo you sent me of the car there and we zoomed in and looked at it. So we're like, oh, look, it looks quite dirty. It was like, that is fingerprint dust.
Oh, there's a lot of that.
And
Yeah.
Ben Morrance made the point. There's been that is a proper crime investigation.
It absolutely was. There's chalk
played out
everywhere.
On our crime podcast.
Yeah, I know, and chalk everywhere. And there was a parking ticket. I think
from when they ditched it.
So it was found in South Melbourne. So
you don't have to pay the parking.
Well, I hope not. But I also did have to pay for all the tolls they took.
Yeah. Okay. Please, dear listeners, will you write in, please, if you know the answer to this? We could Google it. In fact, I did Google and sent you the thing.
Yeah.
And you asked Jeeves.
I asked Jeeves.
But we could just look it up ourselves. But I'm more interested to hear from you guys. Yeah. So Sammy has been the victim of a crime, stolen car. The car has been found ditched. He's had to pay for the towing fee, the repairs to the car, the new key.
Got it detailed because there's like a lot of cigarette smoke and all the chalk and everything and the dirt. Yeah.
Should Sammy have to pay for that himself, or will he be able to, will there be some compensation for that? Because the reason, maybe not the cleaning and stuff, but like that might be you've chosen to that, but like the towing and everything.
Yeah.
I feel like you might.
I wonder because I had the parking permit as well, and that wasn't recorded on the police report, and so I contacted the council and I was like, "Oh, my parking permit was stolen
Yeah.
in the actual thing as well. And they're like, oh, you'll have to sign like a stat deck for that. And they've made it like the most difficult part of all of this.
Just the
Like the
permit.
parking permit for the local area has made it the most difficult part of all of this. But it's really, so I wonder if there is.
You've got your car.
Got my car.
More importantly, I now have a
Your
St.
St.
Kilda
Kilda
jacket
jacket.
to
Yep.
give away
Yep.
to one dear listener.
Absolutely.
I'll post a photo on our story of the jacket.
That's so fun.
And you
Lots
don't
of
get
fun.
the brand new one that I bought.
No, you do
can
not
have
get
the
that.
worn and stolen one
Yeah, that's
that
right.
hasn't been detailed.
Yeah.
But I think this is really big for us and
Yep.
our podcast listeners that we have seen a crime happen and be somewhat
true crime.
solved.
Yeah.
Because we don't know who stole it,
don't know,
but
yeah.
we have the stolen property back. And that's what this podcast is
That's
all
right.
about.
I think it might be Ivan Milat.
We've just been talking about other true crimes that have happened in the
Yeah,
past,
yep.
waiting for the real one to happen.
Yeah, and you know what? We would love to hear from you if you know anything about stolen cars and how to get
Yes.
some compensation.
Yes.
Let us know. Sammy at justanothercompany.com.au. You can send us a voicemail, which we call a speak pipe. All the links are in the show notes and also in the Instagram bio. Speaking of G-Love, can they follow us?
They can. We're on Instagram and TikTok at Not Another Crime Podcast.
Oh, and YouTube now as well.
And YouTube as well.
Uh-huh.
We will read out some reviews and
Yep.
listener messages after our crime story today.
Yep.
But one more thing I want to talk about before we get into today's story.
Yeah, yep.
There was something that came up on the news the other day that I thought our listeners would not like to hear about because it's pretty awful. But it was quite reminiscent of the story of the girl in the box.
Oh, yeah,
And then
Colleen
this came
Stan.
up like in actual news that has just happened, and it is messed up.
Oh, wow.
All right, so the headline is German couple arrested in Spain for locking up their children pretending it was still COVID.
Oh, my God. They told the kids it was still COVID?
Yes.
Oh, this is awful.
Awful. So they were found with their 3 children in the house in nappies. They were not nappy aged. I think there were 2 8-year-old twin boys
Oh
and a
my
10-year-old
God.
boy. Had not left the house since December 2021. The parents told them that it was still COVID lockdowns and that they weren't allowed to leave the house.
Oh, my God.
They were in that house from, well, not even from December 2021, from before that.
Yeah.
And were found this month in 2025 still in the house. They had not left the house in all that time. They were wearing nappies and masks, face masks. How completely effed up is that? I won't read the whole article, but cops described it as a house of horror.
Oh.
They said that the house was completely filled with trash. The children weren't even allowed in the garden. So they were literally inside
Just
the house the whole time.
inside.
And they slept in caged beds with no contact with the outside world at all.
Oh, how awful.
The reason this came to light at all
Yeah.
was because a neighbour had noticed that the children didn't. Oh, sorry, this was earlier on. A neighbour had noticed that the children didn't go back to school after the lockdowns were lifted, reported that to police, and no action was taken.
What? No action.
No, since 2021. So the couple was 53-year-old and a 48-year-old. They had dual German and American citizenship, and they've been leaving, coming and going from the house and leaving the kids
Oh,
in there
that is
and telling the kids that
awful.
they left with face masks on and everything, and said it's too risky for children to go outside. Rah, rah, rah. Isn't that?
That is horrific. Have you seen
Awful.
that film? Is it Room or?
Yeah.
Oh my God, that reminds me of that. Like,
Well,
just,
I read the
you know,
book of that first,
Oh,
which was
right.
even more disturbing.
Yeah,
because I feel like
okay.
a book you get even more into and you
Yeah,
kind of put yourself
and you
in the
imagine a lot of
mind.
that stuff. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
there's-
awful. What an awful story.
You're welcome.
Thank you for that.
But yeah, that came up the other day, and I was like, "Oh my God, you've just told me that story
Yeah.
about the girl in the box."
Yeah.
So I just thought that was worth bringing up for
Absolutely.
our true crime weirdos.
Yeah, and look, we want to hear from you, true crime weirdos, as G just called you. Please do write into Sammy at justanothercompany.com.au. We also just spoke about the voicemail as well. But if you would, leave us a 5-star rating, 5-star review. That always does help the podcast.
Please do. And tell your friends.
Yeah, tell your friends. Tell one friend, and it literally doubles the number of the podcast. Numbers.
Sammy, can you please tell a friend the story of Daniel LaPlante? That friend being me.
Yeah, I would love to, G-Love. Do you know the story of Daniel LaPlante?
No, I know the name. So I'm sure I've heard it before, but it's not stuck in my memory because when you said the name, I was like, oh, I know that name, but the being stuck in a wall and then killing... No, I don't know where this is going. Well, I don't know where it's going. You said he killed a family, but I don't know how we get there.
So today is the story of Daniel LaPlante. Now, I do have to say at the start that there have been quite a few misconceptions about this story, and I will go into that as well. It's somewhat become a bit of folklore, this story, and there are quite a lot of stories. It was really interesting when I first started looking at it. The story was really, really sensational. It is a sensational story in terms of it's horrific, it's awful, but it had been sensationalized and there were lots of kind of rumors about the story.
That had then become
its own thing.
Quote unquote fact.
Yeah, and I saw a lot, what I was looking at was I was listening to a lot of podcasts about it and I was watching a lot of like kind of YouTube videos about it, which you can also do with this podcast
YouTube?
available on youtube.com. But it was really interesting looking at these and going, oh, some of them actually went, this is what happened. And then you go, oh, if you listen to a few more things and read a few more things, you find out that a lot of the tales about this that have been told over time are incorrect.
Right. They're tales.
They are tales. Yeah. Yep. And so maybe if you have heard this story before, it has been kind of a heightened version of this story. The story itself is awful, and there might be inaccuracies in this story because it has been taken to a certain extent in the media. But the story that I have researched today is the most accurate that I could tell this story.
Hey, I appreciate that.
Hey. So Daniel LaPlante was born on May 16th, 1970 in Townsend, Massachusetts. He grew up living with his mother, Elaine, and his stepfather, David. The family home was described as a bit of a junkyard. Lots of stray animals and rubbish in the front garden. People in the town generally avoided this family. A little bit about Townsend. It's a quaint northeastern town. It's about 5 miles from the New Hampshire border and about 30 miles from Boston. Boston, which is famous for the Red Sox.
Yes.
I believe. Write in if that's not correct.
Real sports people.
In 1986, the town had a population of 8,300 people. The population, which I found really interesting, hasn't significantly changed in that time.
Since the 80s?
Yeah, even in 2020, it was recorded as being 9,127.
Whoa.
So only like less than 1,000 people more.
Oh, wow.
Which is wild for a town's population. I haven't really heard of that as a like in the census or anything being not drastically higher.
Let's see where this story goes. Maybe people have avoided it for a reason.
Yeah. There is little documentation about Daniel's biological father. It has been stated in various reports that he was abusive, both psychologically and sexually, but little else is known. There have also been various statements, allegedly, that he was also abused by his stepfather and his friends, allegedly. Daniel really struggled in school. He had dyslexia and found it really difficult to focus. He also had a lack of hygiene and was sent to a psychiatrist who diagnosed him early on as what we now know as ADHD. ADHD. Good. Instead of treating Daniel, the psychiatrist actually began sexually assaulting him.
Oh my God.
Daniel was bullied at school for being creepy and weird. Kids thought he was strange and called him lots of names. After the later events took place, a lot of kids brought up his hygiene again, saying this was a big thing about him that everyone noticed in the school. Daniel started stealing things from people's homes at the age of around 15 years old, stealing valuables and money. His stepfather once found a gun in the laundry basket and asked Daniel about it. He just said that he had purchased it. Apparently that was perfectly acceptable and there were no further questions.
And just popped it in the laundry basket.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, as long as it was not stolen.
Well,
that's
not
fine.
stolen, as long as it's clean in the laundry basket.
Bloody hell.
He would steal things, but also one of the things he liked doing was to break into someone's house and just move furniture around.
Ooh.
He wanted people to know that their home had been broken into
Oh, yuck.
and for them to feel generally unsettled.
Oh, that's awful.
Yeah. In 1986, Daniel terrorised a man and his daughters in their home just a town or so over. He had broken into the house. A little bit of backstory on why it was this family. Daniel had asked a 15-year-old Tina Bowen on a date over the phone. He had told her that he had gotten her number off someone at school when in reality he had previously broken into their home and seen a photo of Tina, became obsessed with her and got their home phone number. He'd call her to chat and eventually she agreed to go on a date. He had told her he was tall, athletic, blonde, and had completely made up all these lies about his appearance. He was going to pick her up and they were going to go to the fair together. When she met him, she was shocked to see a rough and unkempt-looking Daniel, who had lied about his appearance to her.
Why would you do that if the plan is then to meet the person?
I don't know. It feels like really early catfishing, doesn't it? Like it seems wild to just kind of present this
and go, surprise, I'm not what.
But I guess that's what
said I was at
catfishing
all.
is in a lot of ways as well, if you're like putting up
but
photos of...
But then they usually never meet the person.
That's true. I mean, more dating profiles and stuff if you're like presenting yourself
true.
as someone else.
I think it's a better idea to present yourself as a lesser version.
Yeah,
of what you can
that's
be,
true.
Because then they'll be even
Pleasantly
more
surprised.
pleasantly surprised.
He had dark, greasy hair, 5'8", but she agreed to go on the date anyway because of how much she'd enjoyed talking to him on the phone. She told Daniel that her mother had recently passed away, and that's when she noticed Daniel was really odd. It was like his face lit up.
Ew.
He started bombarding her with questions about her mother's death. Not only was it really recent, but she didn't want to talk about it in the way Daniel wanted to. He wanted to know how badly she suffered.
Oh.
How did Tina feel the moment her mother died? Really uncomfortable questions.
How old was he at this point, did you say?
15.
Sorry? Oh, he's still 15.
Yeah. Tina cut the date short and went home. I would like to also say, while the story is odd, there is also a bit of urban legend. You say a bit of urban legend? An urban legend around this case, which I first thought was real, but has in fact been embellished over the years. Mm-hmm. The urban legend is this. Tina, 15, and Annie Bowen, 13, decide they want to hold a seance to talk to their recently passed mother. They do it and pack things up and go to bed. So they do it really quickly and go to bed. That night, they hear tapping sounds on both of their walls. They believe that it was their mum trying to communicate with them after the seance, so they go and start talking all night in Annie's room about their mum. The tapping went on for weeks, only when they were home alone or trying to sleep. The tapping continued for a really long time, and they decided to tell their dad about it. Each time they took their dad to where the tapping was, but it would strangely stop. They kept saying it was their mum trying to contact them. Pieces of furniture had started moving around. Food had started going missing too. The dad thought it was the girls trying to convince him that it was their mum communicating with them, and this was all part of their grieving process. The girls then started getting really scared. Had they instead contacted an evil spirit? Then they can hear the tapping from the basement. And he grabbed a kitchen knife and goes down there. The tapping stops. On the wall of the basement, written in what appears to be blood, is a message that reads, "I'm in your room. Come find me." A couple of weeks later, the sisters, Tina and Annie, decide that they want to hold a seance to talk to their mum again. The girls start screaming and run into the next door neighbour's house. The neighbour can see the girls are really distraught and says they can be there until their father gets home. When the dad does come home, he goes down to the basement and realises that the message downstairs is written in ketchup or tomato sauce. Dead horse.
Dead horse.
Yeah. Frank, the father, at that stage decided to put the girls into grief counselling. They are obviously going through a lot and it's time for them to talk to someone. For a short while after that tapping seemed to stop, when they were home a few weeks later, the tapping started again.
What?
Annie got a knife. They see another message in their room. I'm back. Come find me. They run back to see the neighbour. The neighbour calls the father. He leaves work, comes home and goes to check the house by himself. The house has been absolutely ransacked. What? Things are everywhere. He goes up to Annie's bedroom and sees the message. There's also a new message now that reads, marry me.
Hey, is all of this...
All of this is an urban legend, right? But then I'll explain what actually happened. It wasn't there when the girls were there. Something weird is now going on. It couldn't have been the girls that were writing the message. Now, this is somewhat the end of the urban legend and is quite a fascinating story. What actually seems to have happened is this. The family had been noticing really strange things happening in the family home. TV stations would change without anyone manually changing them. Furniture would move positions, and there were noises that could not be explained. All the seance and everything and the written
Writing
messages
on the
and everything
walls and
seems
stuff.
made up.
Okay.
Yeah. The family found it weirder and weirder living in the house. Tina had gone on a date with Daniel, but turned him down when she realised he wasn't what he said he had been.
Which is the right thing to do.
Absolutely.
And men, that is okay
That is
for women
okay.
to do. They're allowed to say no to you.
Correct. One day, Frank and the kids returned home and the Bowens found their house with radios and TVs blaring at top volume.
Oh.
The dad opened one of his daughter's closets to find a dirty LaPlante with a face painted in ketchup and mayonnaise, with his hair in spikes wielding Frank's hatchet and wrench.
What?
Daniel then instructed Frank and the daughters to go into a bedroom before Frank slammed the door and barricaded the door between him and Daniel. Tina jumped from a second-story window and ran to the neighbour's house to call the police. Police later discovered a series of tunnels and small spaces inside of the house.
What?
Where LaPlante had been living. They found butcher's knives, ketchup, mayonnaise splattered everywhere on the walls. There was a bottle of wine on the table. Wine had been poured into 2 glasses, but no one had had a drink out of either glasses. They discovered there were passageways so that he could be anywhere in the house that he wanted, with peepholes in a lot of the walls that he had strategically cut out.
I have heard this before.
Yeah, I've heard this.
This is ringing a bell.
Yeah.
Oh my God, this is so... I've probably put this to the back of my
Yeah.
mind. And somewhere in the back there with all the like useful information, because all things like song lyrics have come to the front and say
Hamilton.
there. I've thought it's like a movie I watched once. This is a real story.
It is a movie as well, but it is interesting how much people remember probably from the movie.
Yeah, and that's where
and different bits and pieces.
right.
The movie could not. Oh, sorry, the movie.
Sorry.
The police could not find him right away, especially because of the strange appearance described by Frank, who was his boy. Now, in the urban legend as well, it does say that Daniel at the time, when Frank found him, was wearing his wife's wedding dress.
Oh.
And so it is really the difference in the stories and what has been heightened is really interesting. And some of this might be heightened as well, like who knows, in an urban legend.
That's very Phantom of the Opera. When the Phantom takes Christine down to the lair and she's starting to go, wow, this is amazing. Then he goes too full on and freaks her out because there's like a wedding dress there.
Classic. You shouldn't wear someone's wedding dress when you're trying to woo them, I believe.
Oh.
The family
I've been doing wrong.
The family was so shaken by this, and then they decided they couldn't live there anymore and ended up moving houses.
Yeah, I reckon.
It was so scary and invasive, and they didn't think they'd be able to sleep in that house anymore. The dad went back to the home to get some things and spotted someone in the house.
Because police have left because Daniel's not there.
He's
they
not
can't
there.
find him. They
No.
found all the tunnels, but he's not there.
That's right. There was a family photo that had been stabbed in the house, and police found a small crawl space and found Daniel hiding inside. They arrested him. He was charged with kidnapping and armed assault. He was sent to a youth detention centre for 10 months until his mum, who got a second mortgage on her house, posted a $10,000 bail in 1987.
Nope.
While released on bail, Daniel was living with his mother and stepfather. During this time, he committed several burglaries in the neighbourhood where he obtained money and guns.
Isn't the point of bail at all that if you commit any crime while you're on bail,
you're sent straight back.
But also, how can you get bail after being sent? That's obviously different to Australia.
Yeah.
In Australia, there's only bail available up until bail available. That was fun to say. Up until you're convicted of something.
Yeah,
After that, you're sentenced to prison. You have to serve out.
You have to serve your time. Yeah.
It's wild.
Later, Daniel's stepfather discovered one of the guns in the laundry basket again. So he found another one of the guns that he'd stolen.
At least he's keeping them clean.
That's actually true.
He's not showering, but he's cleaning his pistols.
When confronted by his mother and stepfather, Daniel claimed to have bought the gun. LaPlante would burglarise a neighbouring family, the Gustafsons, where he would steal valuables and knickknacks. It was a 4-hour invasion. He collected a cordless television and a TV, plus coins from a valuable collection. He hid the things in his brother's tool cabinet, specifically telling him he was placing them to prevent his parents from discovering the items.
They're going through Daniel's room because he's a dodgy little prick and they're not going
always
through the
going
brothers.
through them. Yeah, he was aware of his actions and knew it was wrong. He continued burglarizing multiple homes in this time. Within 2 months of being out of the detention centre, Daniel did the unthinkable. And this is the crime we are here to talk about today. Do you remember anything about this crime?
Yeah, I think so. Is he still 15 at this point?
He's now, 16, I think. No, 16 or 17 at this point, yeah. On December 1st, 1987, Daniel returned to the Gustafson residence. Priscilla, 33 years old, returned home with her 5-year-old boy, William, while Daniel was still there. Instead of fleeing like he typically did in these situations, Daniel remained inside the house. A little bit I want to tell you about Priscilla. She was 33 and deeply religious. Religious. Sean Connery impression.
When you try to say religious, your body just stops working.
It stops speaking
like, don't lie.
She sang in the local church choir. Both of her parents had been pastors, William and Jean. Priscilla was married to Andrew, an attorney, and at the time she was pregnant with their 3rd child. They already had 5-year-old William and 7-year-old Abigail. Now back to what happened. It's really disturbing, so this is a warning. He ambushed and then tied Priscilla to her bed in the master bedroom. He locked William in the closet. Daniel sexually assaulted Priscilla before shooting her twice through a pillow.
What a coward to put a pillow.
She died of 2 bullets in the head. She had also been sexually assaulted, bound and gagged. There was also a used condom found at the scene. He then took William out of the closet and drowned him in the upstairs bath.
Jesus Christ.
His rampage might have ended there if it wasn't for 7-year-old Abigail returning home. She suffered a knock to the head and was then drowned in the downstairs bathroom. The police found an open beer that appeared to be full.
That is
disturbing. Andrew, Priscilla's husband, was still at work.
Oh.
He closed a big deal and had tried to call Priscilla to arrange a celebratory dinner, but she did not answer. He drove the mile or so home at about 1 p.m. He discovered her bloody body in the bedroom. He said he was too afraid to look for his children, so he waited for police to come. He just knew something was up. They told him that his children had been drowned in separate bathrooms. This was a huge thing in any town, but in the time, in the town of Townsend, people were terrified. They were refusing to leave their homes. What kind of monster would do this?
But also terrifying because it's happened in their home.
In their home,
Where would you possibly feel safe?
It's so awful. And a town that size as well, it just seems so, oh my
A
God.
family involved in the church and
Police put together a list of potential suspects. One of the people on the list was 17-year-old Daniel LaPlante. He didn't live far at all away from this house, just a mile or so, separated by the woods. It was walking distance.
the woods. I feel like the woods only
So
exist in
creepy.
spooky
Oh,
stories.
absolutely. He was on parole at the time. The police found Daniel at a local library where he was being tutored. They questioned him and he immediately denied any involvement. He said he was watching TV all day and later that night he went to his niece's birthday party. He said he didn't hear about the murders until he saw them on the 11 o'clock news that he was watching with his stepfather. Authorities ended up going to his house at 2 p.m. that same day to ask a few more questions. He saw them walking up the house. He fled up to the house.
Amazing.
He fled, they're walking like
Like
Spider-Man up the
spiders are
house.
Incredible.
Daniel fled out the side door into the woods behind his house. They searched the house and found a .22 caliber shell casing, the same that killed Priscilla. They found out that this gun had been stolen from a nearby home that he had burgled not long after being released.
How about guns are illegal?
Oh my
How about
God,
let's just make guns illegal?
Great idea.
And then they won't just be lying around people's houses.
Great idea, G-Love. So now the police have to find him. They begin searching the woods between his home and Priscilla's family's home, and that's where they find evidence.
What are you picturing as the woods, by the way?
I don't know. I think it is the creepiest, eeriest place. It's always there's always like a lot of smoke or something around the woods.
Is it
It's always
because in
really
Australia
cold.
do we not have woods or we don't call them the woods? We'd call it like bushland.
Yeah, or the forest or something. I don't know. The
Forest.
woods is always really, it just seems really creepy with lots of cabins and everything, I imagine.
The woods to me is from either Twilight or Hansel and Gretel.
Yes. Yeah. It doesn't seem quite real.
Or
does it?
Harry Potter, what's the Forbidden Forest? That's
Oh,
woods
yeah, of
to
course.
me as well.
With that damn boy wizard.
That damn boy wizard.
An immediate manhunt was launched involving police units, tracking dogs, and helicopters, which if you imagine in a small place like this, that would be so intense to actually see helicopters flying over.
Absolutely.
As the search intensified, I was about to say,
Testified.
intensifies? A woman by
Magistrate.
Magistrate, I implore you. A woman by the name of Lynn approached an officer, saying that she felt really uncomfortable entering her home. She had driven into her driveway and just had this eerie feeling that something was not right, so she waited out the front.
I love hearing things like that because I have no doubt that there is a sixth sense
Absolutely.
that
some people pick up on.
and we just don't know what it is. I think we all have it, but it's kind of like we're taught out of it. Because you even hear things about like kids will very confidently. You could ghost stories.
Yeah.
Where kids will be like, "Oh, who's the girl in the corner?" And
Yeah.
parents are like, "What?"
Yeah.
And I think that
Your auntie,
is-
be nicer to her.
Yeah, exactly. Now, don't
Yeah.
call her the
Don't
girl
call
in
her
the
the girl
corner.
in the
We've told you,
corner.
that's why she's crying. I reckon we do have a sense
I think
in
so.
us that is taught out of us.
Yeah, absolutely. And those close calls that you do hear about are so scary. Her instincts were right. When entering the home, Daniel had been there. He had armed himself with multiple weapons and then jumped out of the home when police arrived. He ran and went to another residence. He knocked on the door of someone he went to school with, pointed the newly acquired gun in their face. The student closed the door in Daniel's face and called the police.
Oh, yeah, great. Good
Yeah.
idea. No,
Insane.
thanks. Not today.
No, not today. He then held a woman at gunpoint in her home and made her drive him around. She escaped.
He's just been hopping from house to house,
Yeah.
holding people up and
Yeah. She jumped out of the van when it came to a stop and ran for her life.
good.
A police officer saw this van a little later on, pulled Daniel over, and then Daniel made a run for it. Police cornered him in a lumberyard. He was hiding behind a dumpster. He was arrested.
That's where he belongs.
Absolutely.
In it.
As they were patting him down, they found the gun he had stolen. It was unsure at this point whether they found him near a dumpster or actually hiding in a dumpster. A lot of the reports actually said that he was hiding in the dumpster.
Well, like I say, it's where he belongs.
Yeah. 2 officers guarded him until reinforcements arrived.
Also, can you imagine how scary that would be
God.
if you're looking in a dumpster and then a person just
Person
out
was
of
just
it?
there. Yeah. It was 48 hours after the search had begun.
Whoa.
They built a really solid case right away. They find clothes they believed he was wearing when he committed the murders and gloves that were still wet from drowning the children.
Oh, God.
Police theorised the gloves had been used to drown these kids and then he dumped them in the woods.
So he's thought about it enough that he's worn a condom for Priscilla and then worn gloves so there wouldn't be fingerprints I suppose, on the kids.
Yeah.
Oh, God. I mean, it's no more or less awful had he done that or not, but it's just that the premeditation of thinking that out. I don't want to leave any DNA evidence.
It's so methodical, isn't it?
Awful.
They also found a nameplate from the family home that read the Gustafson's family. It had been ripped off the side as a token.
It is bizarre how often you hear that about murderers.
Yeah.
That they take a
little token, a little trophy.
Token.
Yeah.
I mean, Dexter is fictional, but he would always take a blood spatter thing.
Yeah.
But the reason that was in a fictional show is because so many people actually do that.
Yeah, a
And
little
it's
trophy for themselves.
I mean, for someone that does not have the tendency to, will never do that, I clearly can't understand it. But from someone who would never do it, I go, it's just dumb because then it links you to it.
Yeah, so much more evidence.
I suppose people are doing, like the people that commit these crimes are doing it for some kind of gratification. And they want a memento from that.
Absolutely, to remember. Yeah. The next morning, he was formally charged with the murders of Priscilla, William and Abigail. When Daniel was questioned again, he denied any involvement, that he was just at home watching MTV. Prosecutors intended to trial Daniel as an adult.
Good.
He pleaded not guilty to the 3 charges of first-degree murder.
Why?
I don't know. The judge would not set bail for him, seeing as now he was a danger to society.
Correct. He was before as well.
Yeah. The judge ordered Daniel to undergo a lengthy psychiatric evaluation. He was found competent to stand trial.
Good.
Daniel's first attorney had to withdraw for a conflict of interest. He had actually represented a few of Daniel's family members in the past.
Oh, small town.
Yeah. Jury members were taken to have a tour of the home where the murders took place and taken through the woods, taking them in the same footsteps that Daniel had walked.
I find it interesting when they do that. That happens
Yeah.
quite
It happened in
often.
the OJ case as well, didn't it? Like jury members went to
But it
like the
happens
homes.
a lot. Like
and-
it happens in trials in Australia as well. They take them to the places, which I find interesting. Because I'm like, I wonder why that would change anything. But
Yeah.
I suppose they want to make sure everyone understands.
They
and-
probably show proximity as where he lived and everything. Daniel's defense attorney right away wanted all of the evidence thrown out, but there were some things he really wanted to get rid of. There were letters Daniel had written from jail to a friend. In one of the letters, Daniel said that police would never find the gun that he used to kill Priscilla.
How could you possibly argue that evidence should
I
not
don't know.
be included?
The judge ruled that these letters were inadmissible.
What?
We don't know a lot of the information in the letters, but there would have been a lot more to them if he had actually been like, oh, these are actually inadmissible.
Maybe they couldn't prove that he had written them and sent them.
Maybe,
perhaps the friend outside had said he's written them to me, but there was no proof that they'd actually come from him.
Maybe, yeah.
Which you can think, obviously this guy's not innocent, but you can think, flip it around and go, if someone's been wrongly
that's
accused
true.
of something
yeah.
and someone on the outside's like, look, he sent me this letter. Yeah.
These letters would have come from nowhere.
Far out.
The prosecution never brought the letters into the case.
Well, if they were deemed inadmissible, they
Yeah.
would have been able to.
The trial began in October 1988. The prosecution called 50 witnesses who testified over 12 days. The prosecution contention was that Daniel had broken into the home prior to the murder. Then he broke in again and killed Priscilla and the children. He'd put a pillow over Priscilla's head, shot her through it to help muffle the sounds.
Oh, so when I said before, what a coward, I was thinking he did that so he didn't have to look at what he'd done.
Oh, no. It was
way
actually
more
to muffle
calculated
the
than that.
sound. Yeah.
Oh, God.
He then took William to the bathroom and drowned him. He opened a beer but didn't drink it. He then waited for Abigail to get home from school. When she got home, he took her to the bathroom and drowned her too. Andrew, the husband, took the stand early on and stated that he tried to call his wife that time and had a really bad eerie feeling walking to the house.
There you go, the sixth sense again.
Absolutely. He spoke of his anguish that night walking in.
Poor man.
Police said that 5 months after the murder, they found the .22 caliber gun in Daniel's family car. A neighbour testified that guns had been previously stolen from their house. Police also said they had a dog brought to the crime scene, and from the pillow used to kill Priscilla, the dog led the police officer through the woods and right to the house of Daniel LaPlante.
We don't deserve dogs.
No.
We don't deserve them.
Dibs, we don't deserve you.
Oh my God, just looked over at Diggs. So
He's so relaxed.
His bed is inside. Because it's a little bit cold outside.
A little bit cold
tonight.
outside for Dib.
He's like, it's a huge bed.
Yeah.
He has got maybe a third of his body on it,
Yep.
which is the back half.
Yeah.
And his shoulders and head are on the ground, like at a lower level.
Yeah.
It could not possibly be comfy
It
in any
can't
way.
be comfortable for Dib.
That dog ain't right.
That dog ain't right. The shell casing fired matched the gun found in LaPlante's family car. The woman that Daniel abducted in the van also testified. She said that he asked if she knew who he was. She said yes, and the police were looking for him everywhere.
How brave of her to say that.
Oh, my God. And also to testify.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
You would want to make sure he was locked up.
Yeah.
I mean, not want to, obviously, wouldn't be a nice thing to do. But, I mean, at the time, how brave to say,
Yeah.
yes, I know who you are and they're looking for you.
They're looking for you.
I feel like the kind of fight or flight response would be to go, no, I have no idea, I won't say anything.
Yeah. He made her drive at gunpoint. As she slowed, pulling up to a stop sign, she rolled out of the car and got away.
What a boss. I love her.
Yeah. Daniel's family also testified, including his brother, who said that he saw Daniel flee when police arrived at the home. His stepfather said that he found a .22 caliber a few weeks before the murder. He didn't call the police or do a search. He just believed it was the only one in the house.
It doesn't...
2 of these guns were stolen, but his stepdad took away just one.
Oh, okay.
So he found one and he thought that was the only one. The defense asked about the shirt found in the woods. Daniel's mother said it was a one that her husband had, but Daniel often wore. The assistant district attorney said that the trail of evidence led them right to Daniel's family home. Daniel had no alibi. His alibi of watching MTV had fallen through. There was no question to them that Daniel was the killer. The Gustafson home was a secluded house that he had said to keep an eye on for a while, making sure he knew their daily routine, when they would and wouldn't be home so he could break in. The jury deliberated for 3 hours.
Wow, that's nothing.
And came back finding Daniel LaPlante guilty of all 3 murders. The sentence was handed down right away for him to spend the rest of his life behind bars. 3 consecutive life sentences. He was now 18 years old. Papers reported that he had a wry smile on his face when it was handed down to him.
Ew.
In recent years, he has been arguing that he should be eligible for parole. He has been denied every time.
Good.
In 2017, he received a hearing. His attorney stated he should be granted parole, that he should be given a second chance to live life outside of prison. But Daniel showed no remorse for the crimes he committed. The judge handed down the 3 life sentences again, with parole eligibility after 15 years each, so he'd have to serve at least 45 years.
I'm surprised he even got the hearing.
Oh, me too, yeah. The judge stated, The court is not persuaded that Mr. LaPlante's conduct cannot be attributed to any of his childhood experiences or to immaturity, irresponsibility, or recklessness. Mr. LaPlante committed 3 distinct and brutal murders. He left a family and a community devastated. In prison, LaPlante was a nuisance. In 2000, he requested to be moved for his own safety after receiving death threats from other prisoners. It was granted. He then sued the Board of Prisons for not allowing him access to the library, even though it was him who had requested to be segregated in the first place and away from the communal spaces. He also threw a fit when his porn that was mailed to him was confiscated.
I'm assuming you don't mean PAWN.
No, I don't mean that. In 2013, he complained he wasn't able to exercise his faith. He became a Wiccan in prison.
What?
He needed to be bought dragon's blood, honeysuckle, and lots of other things to properly practice. And he was not allowed to have these things.
I'm done with this story.
This is how the story ends.
Thank you. It was good timing.
When you're over it. In 1989, Andrew Gustafson went on to marry a woman named Carol, who was also a widow. When they were married, they wore 2 bands, one to signify and remember their deceased spouses, and one to mark their own new love. They went on to have 2 children together. Andrew left his job as an attorney and went on to become a child advocate. That, G, is the story of Daniel LaPlante, as they call the boy in the walls.
I don't like that they call him the boy in the walls, because that to me, and maybe it's just because I've got the girl in the box.
Yeah.
It makes it sound like that was
Like he was
something
trapped
he was a
in
victim
there.
of.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? Yeah.
Oh, God. That is, what's the movie about it called?
I think it's called The Boy in the Walls.
I don't think I've seen that. I think I've just
Let me
got
have a look.
such a clear visual in my head from when I've heard this story before that I felt like I could picture it all. I could picture the van going through the woods, but maybe I've just pictured that when I've read about this or heard about this before.
The Boy in the Walls?
17 as well.
Oh, my God.
Like that's such
Yeah, Boy in the Walls.
Is there anyone famous in it? That's a no.
I don't think so. Jonathan Wisterstill?
Bless you.
Whitestill, maybe.
Hang on. What? White or whist?
What? It's W-H-I-T-E. W-H-I-T-E-S-E-L-L. What is the movie?
Wintercell?
And the Boys in the Walls. Yeah, I don't.
good stuff.
Yeah, a true story. The concept. Yeah, I don't know. But Daniel LaPlante. Yeah, the boy in the walls. A true story. It says
That is truly something that only sounds like it could be made up.
it does, doesn't it?
I feel like we've said this before about another crime.
Yeah.
The story is if you wrote that as fiction and
Yeah,
took it to
yep.
a producer, they would say, no, that's too silly.
I'd say no way, Jose. That's what they'd say. Exactly
would
that.
say no way,
No
Jose.
way, Jose.
I'm speaking a lot of Spanish today, haven't I?
Yeah. But yeah, it's such an awful story, and so there are so many different versions of this story as well. The kind of I guess the urban legend that I told you is a really interesting part of it as well, because I have heard lots of people tell that story, and the writing on the walls and everything. It's such a kind of a fantastical version about that story that it is interesting that people have kind of told this story for a long time and it's become the norm. And I wonder if that's maybe more the film, that there's more
And
a heightened version.
You know what it also goes to show? That this is the best crime podcast because
That's
we
right.
actually look into it
Try and do some
properly.
goddamn fact checking.
Thank you for telling me that. That is just so wild. And now it makes total sense to me why in all these years since 1987, only 1,000 more people live in that town.
Yeah,
Because I can only assume everyone who lived there moved out after that. And it's not exactly a great ad for that town.
No,
for
I
people
know.
to want to move in either.
Yeah. And you just hear all those stories about him, the terrorized and being so young as well. That is so, I mean, and this is this is always kind of the story with a lot of these that we've told so far in these cases, that there is abuse when they're quite young, and it leads them to kind of a life like this. And the fact that, I'm not making excuses for what he did, but the fact that he was sexually abused by his father, his stepfather, and then his psychiatrist, like that seems so nuts that was a thing, and obviously he didn't. I don't know if he was able to talk to his mum about all this sort of stuff and everything, and then being a family that was kind of avoided in the town as well, and he ends up living in the walls of a home. And the interesting thing about this whole urban legend is the names of the girls change, and the name of the dad changes quite a bit in the retelling of these stories. So what I find interesting is that maybe the film that they've kind of taken facts from and changed things around a little bit, because obviously the names have been changed quite a few times over the years.
And other podcasters are lazy and just will watch it one place and just write it down and retell it. But we do the research for you.
We did. Well, I actually did write the story first that had a lot of the urban legend stuff in it.
Oh, I thought you were trying to say to me that you wrote the story before anyone else did.
Oh, yeah, I wrote it first. I wrote it first. I broke it. I broke that story. That and Watergate.
Oh, my God, that was
Watershed?
you, wasn't it? What?
Watergate?
Yes. Did you?
I said Watershed. It was a watershed moment.
Oh, I thought you said water shit.
Oh, watershed. It was a real watershed moment. No, so when I did
Watergate, or was it water shit?
Water shit. When I first started looking at it, I was like, "Oh, this is a really interesting story and everything." And then the urban legend stuff started to come into it. I was like, "Oh, this is quite an incredible story that I'll have to tell G in this way." And then I was like, "Oh no, this is As I was doing more research, I was like, "Oh no, that's not really what happened." And that's really interesting. But G, I would like to say that I have 3 wonderful emails that have come through that I'm going to read to you today, because
this is really exciting for me, because if you couldn't tell from the fact that the email address is sammy at justanothercompany.com.au, it is Sammy's email. So I only hear these emails when Sammy reads them out to me in front of all of you guys.
And there are some wonderful, wonderful emails that have come through this week. We've got Maddie, who has written, "Hey G and Sammy, I've been meaning to write for so long. I head into class on Tuesday nights, and a ritual of mine on the hour-long drive is to listen to your podcast, and what a horrendous time it is.
Yay!
I've loved true crime for so long, but this podcast is the perfect mix. It feels like hanging out with you, breaking up such intense stories. I hadn't heard Catherine Knight's story. I had never expected to laugh amongst listening to a story like that, but job well done, team. Big love. Keep it up. It's harrowing and horrendous through and through. Big love to you both. Thank you for all the work you share, and these stories bring me so much joy." Maddie. P.S. Sammy, I clearly think we're besties, though. We have never met because I dreamt we hung out at a comedy festival and were best friends for there. Promise I'm not a creep.
Oh my God,
I love you, Maddie.
Isn't it the best? Like, that feeling when you've had a dream about someone and then the rest of the day you kind of like just believe it. It's a dream.
Yeah. You're like, I think I did.
Oh, Maddie, you're horrendous. We love you.
You are absolutely horrendous. How about this one from Penny? "Hey, Sammy and Georgia, last week I was listening to the ep of Not Another Crime podcast, which is just so awesome. Thanks so much for bringing this to life week on week. And then I heard that Sammy had his car stolen and it was passed down from his granddad. That's awful, and I'm sorry to hear this. I went to message you then, however, having a bucket load of work on combined with my inability to concentrate. Lol, ADHD, baby. ADHD, baby. Good. I promptly forgot. Tonight, I'm catching up on some work and listening to this week's ep, remembered, and here we are. So basically, I'd like to offer you my car."
What?
"Now, before you get excited, it's got character. However, it'll get you from A to B and will keep you going until you find something you actually want."
Oh my God.
As in, "Ooh, I've always wanted Penn's car," said no one ever.
Oh my God.
"It's getting my first ever new car, woo, and wanted to pay it forward. Ha ha ha. I'm unsure if you'll feel this is paying anything forward. However, if it will help you out, it's yours. It's not for everyone, so I really won't be offended if you read this and back away slowly. However, if you're after a car with heart, soul, and an interesting exterior with a slightly suspicious rattle, let's FaceTime you with it, and then I'll be happy to drive it down to you next time I'm in Melbourne. I live in Sydney. However, at this time of year, I'm in Melbourne fortnightly with work.
Penny.
And then, she's got this wonderful description of the car. Not showroom fresh. It's got a few quirks, something referred to as dents, but who wants something that's never lived? It's a kind of car with stories, grit, and a whole lot of heart under the hood, plus a few mysterious noises we don't talk about. Let's address the bonnet in the room. It's dented, a few little missing. You could say it's had a few encounters, notably a small but determined kangaroo who took issue with the front bumper and air conditioning system. We both walked/hopped away fine, but the aircon never emotionally recovered. It now lives only in memory. However, good news is the windows work and it's winter. Features starts every time, plenty of room for snacks, friends, and you'll never care if they spill anything in there. A unique exterior, no two panels are quite the same. A stereo that actually works, and the only place I can still play CDs. Personality in spades, not in the boot though, that's mostly just old reusable bags. The price, free. Looking for someone who appreciates the classics even if they're a bit lopsided. Someone who doesn't mind if the aircon is a suggestion rather than a feature. Someone who believes true beauty is found within or can imagine the beauty it used to hold. Fun facts. It's never been in an accident despite the dings and whatnot. Dents include left panel door versus pole, rear bumper, mystery origin, and front Kangaroo 1 car emotionally unstable since. There are more FYI. Could double as a conversation starter or a modern art piece. Isn't that beautiful from Pen?
Have I just passed out and dreamt that?
Isn't that
a
beautiful?
real email? Penny,
You
are amazing.
Yeah.
What a beautiful, first of all, hilarious email.
Yeah.
So well written.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
obsessed
yeah.
with this car and I want to be friends with
yeah.
it. Penny, that
Yeah.
is absolutely
Isn't that beautiful?
incredible. What an amazing person, Sammy.
Yeah, isn't that
Penny
beautiful?
offered you her car.
Yeah, isn't Penny beautiful?
Oh my God.
Yeah, so lovely, Penny. And I did email Penny back when I found the car as well. I was like, oh my God, thank you so much, Penny. But Penny is amazing. What a beautiful offer as well to drive it down as well from Sydney to Melbourne.
Oh my God.
You're
I feel
incredible,
a bit
Penny.
emotional. That's so lovely.
We love you, Penny. Oh,
Hey,
my
Penny,
God.
if you want a St Kilda football club
Yeah, that's
jacket,
right. Yep.
please
No dents.
let me know.
Yeah.
No dents in it.
And a lot of
I
personality.
might even give you the new one.
Are you ready for one more email today that we have time
yes.
for?
If
Yeah.
I can take another one after that.
Oh, my
God.
God.
My emotional capacity is reached.
This one comes from Anthea. 5-star rating, 5-star review is the subject. Sorry, Sammy, this email is for G-Love.
Okay, I'm back on board. I love it.
Preamble. Sammy, Confessions was my launch into Australian comedy, and I will forever love you for being the most hilarious and authentic Australian comedian.
Oh.
Now, let's get to the crux. G, I didn't know your bachelorette times. My first intro to you was when you appeared on Confessions. You were absolutely my fantasy best friend. Puns galore, a buttload of Jans, and a punfully named cat. If I even get shooks, I'm aiming for Jennifer Henniston.
Great.
Love it.
Love it.
Just wanted to remind you, G, that there are folk out there who are finding you for the very first time. And gosh, we just love your personality. Kind regards, drunk auntie. Oops, wrong podcast, Anthea.
Oh, Anthea.
I've met Anthea. So Anthea came to my other podcast, Are You Too Drunk Auntie, with Bron Lewis. Anthea came to the live show, and Anthea is amazing.
Oh, Anthea.
Yeah, Anthea's the best.
No, my emotional capacity is absolutely reached. That is so beautiful.
Isn't that
Thank
lovely?
you.
I love
you're
that.
actually my imaginary best friend as well.
Yeah,
now.
your fantasy best friend.
Fantasy.
We love you, Anthea.
Oh my God, my heart is so full. What a wonderful way
What a wonderful
to
way.
end a horrible story.
Yeah, that's
oh my
right.
God, I feel all warm and full.
If you want to write into us, you can write into us as an email if you want to do that, sammy@justanothercompany.com.au. You can leave us a voice note, as we call it, a speak pipe. The links for that are in the show notes and in the Instagram bio.
As is our new YouTube channel.
Yeah.
And you can follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Not Another Crime Podcast. And what else do I
Leave us a
wanna
5-star
say?
review,
Leave us a
5-star rating.
review.
We would love to read your ratings out on the podcast. We have some great stories and cases planned. We have some fantastic Thursday treats coming up for you right now. We have the great Tony Martin. We have Candace Wyatt. We have some really interesting and wonderful people coming up as a Thursday treat for you of a bonus episode that we do every single week. So please do share this podcast around with a friend. We would bloody love that. G-Love, do you have a pet peeve, or as we call them, a Paudry peeve for me this week?
Peeve. I do.
Yep.
My Paudry peeve this week
Uh-huh.
is when in a shared office space, look, to be fair, it could be in any kitchen, but specifically in a shared office space, if there is a dishwasher in the kitchen, why do people put their dirty dishes in the sink?
Yeah.
Every goddamn day.
Yep.
Every day.
Yeah.
Every day.
Every day.
I am this close
Yeah.
to being one of those, can I speak to the manager, right, passive
Oh, wow.
aggressive note
You're gonna
above the
Karen
sink
it.
that says if you can place it there, you can
Yep.
place it in the dishwasher.
Yeah,
Because why should the wonderful people that come and clean the building at the end of the day, why should they have to stack the dishwasher as well? Just put your plate in the dishwasher.
Yeah.
Do you have
Did
a
that feel
Paudry
good to
peeve?
say?
Yeah, it did.
Did that feel really good to say?
Yeah, it felt really good.
I love that you said that. My Paudry peeve for this week is this week when I was flying, I get
God,
really
your arms
annoyed.
must have been
Thank you for
tired.
saying that. I get really annoyed when people stand up straight away on a flight.
Yep.
And they start to move and they get down their bags and it's just like, we have just stopped.
Yep.
You need to we're all getting off at the same time.
Yep.
When people when it just stops so suddenly and it's like, yep, people start grabbing their bags down and people get really impatient as well.
Like the
That's
doors are
mine.
going to open at the one time.
Yeah.
I've become, like, when I'm a proper old lady, I
Yeah.
will be just awful because I've already, at the age of 36, started doing things such as
Yeah.
when people like push in front of you in the line to get onto a plane.
Oh, yeah.
I will say, we're all going to the same place.
Yeah.
I already do that. Imagine what I'm going to be like when I'm
So
an old lady
funny.
that just does not give a shit.
I love it though when there's like priority boarding and stuff. Like that's so funny because like I have like I fly quite a bit and so
Okay.
I just find the priority boarding thing so funny because it's like I had priority boarding but it's like why would I want to be on the plane for longer?
Exactly.
And I find the priority boarding thing so funny because I was like the other day, it was like priority boarding, like do it right now. And I was like, I'm just going to wait.
Yeah.
Why would I want to be on the plane for longer? What do I
A
want?
less comfortable seat.
A less comfortable seat and I can stand here right now. Why would I want to line up and go on the priority boarding bit and go on earlier? So it's like you get in like 2 minutes earlier and it's like priority boarding.
Unrelatable,
No, I don't think I will.
Unrelatable
I think it's
content
great
from this
content.
frequent flyer over
Oh,
here.
okay. I'm an FF. I'm a frequent flyer. That's what we call them in the biz. Yep, that's what we call them in the biz.
Fantastic friend is what I call you. That's why I call you my FF. My BFF.
Thank you for
My
saying
big
that.
fantastic friend.
Oh my God.
Okay.
I love that.
Bye.
Bye, everybody. Have a great week.